The worst developer mentality? Hello, I'm Chris Athanas. I had to try to stop that video. I'm a KMP developer. Tech Support said they're coming out Tuesday. I got my favorite shirt on. And we're going to listen to NeetCode.io, which I'm subscribed to, talk about the worst developer mentality. And he's a leak code grinder advocate, which I am not. But some of his stuff he says, like a lot of stuff he says actually about doing software development is correct. Although he's a little too pedantic about like I don't know, the technical aspects, which I think are going to be less and less important. It's still important, but less important than speaking to users and figuring out how to provide products and services that are more in line with what they want. Let's see what they have to say.
And that fear is paralyzing. It's the worst feedback loop in existence. And in this video, I wanted to talk about some of the mistakes, the really big mistakes, not small mistakes, but big mistakes I see a lot of other people, like developers, making. And honestly, this applies to people that aren't developers either. It's really just about how humans behave. For the record, I made all of these mistakes that I'm talking about. And these mistakes like really, really held me back for so long. And I had no idea I was even making them for such a long time. That's why I want to talk about them, because I feel like I made so many of these mistakes that I can offer a bit of advice to make other people's life easier. I'd like to do that. I'm not necessarily going to try to give anybody advice. I really try not to do that on this channel. I don't think it's my place to give people like personal advice. I'll mostly be sharing my opinions, and you can kind of take them as that. I'm not trying to be like an authority figure, but I'll also say
advice is opinion is advice. So
that the opinions that I'm going to share, I firmly believe them. Like, I strongly believe them. I'm pretty confident in them. And these are not really my ideas, or at least not exclusively. Like, these are things that are well accepted by most very, very smart people. Anybody who's high performing in their career, they will agree with the things that I'm going to say. And by the way, no, I'm not going to be talking about AI or anything like that. That's not what this video is about. So I'll probably end up splitting this video into two videos. This video will mainly be focusing on like some of the problems that I see and kind of a mindset shift that you can do to like correct those things. But I'll have a separate video, which will probably be titled something like How to Learn, which will probably be like the follow-up and cover everything else.
All right, I'll
so
check it out.
To show this comment I got about 2 weeks ago, which I responded to maybe in kind of a dickish way. Maybe I was kind of a dick in this case. And my goal is not to read too much into this comment or focus too much on this individual person. I'm trying to use this comment as a way to extrapolate.
Start writing the code in Java or C++. The Python syntax is hard to understand for people who have no experience in Python. Well, I think, like, you got to realize that these all have a root source language. That if you go kind of like see what they're trying to, that root source language is trying to get at, and the only way to know that is how to know how these machines work underneath the hood, because the syntax on the surface is really not talking about anything that's going on with the hood. It's very, very abstracted. So the only way to learn that stuff is to go in there, like on my course, which I have linked below. It's free. All I want is a GitHub star. We'll bring you up how to program from the ground up with minimal bullshit, and it'll let you know why the languages are structured this way, where they came from, and you have much more to do. Like, oh, okay, that's why this syntax is a little odd, because it may not have been well thought out, but it's also basing it off something else. But that's basing on something else. It's basing it on this thing we're trying to do at the bottom. So that's why there's a lot of confusion here, in my opinion.
Give my argument or make my broader point, which is about the mentality that I see a lot of people have and why I think it's so self-destructive. So I got this comment for one of my leak code videos. Start writing the code in Java or C++. The Python syntax that I currently use is hard to understand for people with no experience in Python, which is fair. When I first learned Python, it was very different from the other languages I knew that were based on C. C was my first language that I learned. And then you learn other languages like Java, JavaScript. They fall under the bucket of C syntax. Like, they're very similar to that language. Python is not. Python is very different. And so my follow-up was, with all due respect, you should be able to understand the syntax within a few minutes.
I mean, it's still trying to do the same thing. One uses curly brackets, one has indentations. I mean, Python's more of a software language, so it's more like how JavaScript works. But like, so there's some changes there. But I mean, it's not that far from C. It seems very C-like, except for the tabbing, which is just replacing the brackets. Okay, which are by the way, not necessary in C. Which okay, so you just write the one big fat line, it'll still work.
Kind of a skill issue. Okay, I could have been nicer. I will admit that. I don't think I was wrong. And now, again, I'm not focusing too much on this specific point, but more broadly, let's think about what's going on here. Probably this person is somewhat of a beginner, but even if they're not, they might still have the same problem. They're familiar with the C syntax. The Python syntax is not familiar to them. They're trying to learn some complicated algorithm, and at the same time, they have to kind of decipher my Python code, which they're not familiar with. You could say that they're trying to save themselves time by suggesting me to use a different language. Now, there are people that make leak code videos in other languages. Maybe they can just go watch.
Like, if you go through my course, you'll see where these things all have a common root, and they're all trying to do the same thing, just in slightly different ways. So if once you understand the common root of where they're going at, you can like look at a lot of languages. You're not gonna know all of you're able to type it, but you should be able to read it. And if you there's like libraries or function calls that you go look into what those things are doing. But I mean, once you've got the root of C and like or assembly, really, once you understand what that's going on, that's all just expressions of that same thing.
That, or maybe they could take my code and translate it into their language of choice, or 10 different things, which honestly I think would help them learn better. I mean, is it really that hard for somebody to take 5 minutes to just type out my code that I show in the video? I type out my code in the videos. I don't just show you a screenshot. I'm literally typing every character as I talk into my microphone. Why can't you follow along? Why can't you watch it maybe for 30 seconds and then write the same code?
Right. It's this is, but I think what he's trying to get at is like people are trying to like they want to know this stuff without actually putting the effort in. That's the thing about computers. It's like really different than other stuff. Is like you can't just have somebody hand it to you. You actually have to go through it and learn it yourself and do the exercises and try and make something and use the thing you just learned to do something. And it's very unlike other stuff. I mean, other stuff you kind of like if you're gonna learn sewing, someone can show you how to do it sew, but until you get the needle and thread out and start poking your finger a few times, you're never gonna learn how to do it. And that's very similar thing. This guy doesn't want to get the thread out and potentially poke himself a couple times. Ooh, I'm sewing is so hard. It's like, yeah, if you're gonna be whining and complaining about languages and like living to learn another one, you're cooked. You're kind of cooked, man. So it's like this is the constant thing. And the thing about it is, and once you if you learn one deeply, going to another one's not gonna be that bad. If you understand what's underneath the hood, not just the syntax and all the little stuff that's your first language, which was mine was basic. So basic syntax makes a lot of sense to me. But other people that are coming in from something else, it's not gonna make as much sense. It's gonna be like, what is this? It's like, yeah,
It won't take you that much time. It'll take you 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I mean, how long?
But my second language, which was I think Pascal, it was hard, but it was because it was like a new syntax. So to understand the struggle. But by the third one, I think I was a C. It was like, okay, there's these patterns here now. They're all kind of sharing some idioms. So let's keep going.
How long is it going to take? And then throw it into GPT or Claude or whatever and translate it into your language. Why can't you do that? So don't tell me time is the excuse, right? Time is not that big of an excuse.
This is laziness.
Maybe you didn't think of that.
Laziness and trying to get around not wanting to put effort in. Like if you're going to be an engineer doing software development or whatever, doing like something that's creating something, and you don't want to put effort in, you're lost. Like just stop. Go flip burgers.
Of what I just suggested to you, which is fine. It doesn't mean you're stupid if you didn't think of that. You were probably so focused on like the little details of the algorithm that you kind of forgot to zoom out and think, okay, well maybe there's a better way that I could learn this stuff. But the other thing is maybe you're a little bit lazy. And lazy is kind of a strong word. I can't think of
it. It's not lazy. It's like you think there's a way. See, the thing is, this is also an internet thing, right? We got your secret. There's three easy steps. Quick, easy way. Fast way. You don't have to learn anything and change yourself at all. You don't have to put any of yourself forward or into it. You can just buy our course. You'll have it. So there's a lot of that messaging going on, which is honestly baited hazard is in my mind, where they're actually lying to you about what's involved and how much effort's involved, and not telling you exactly what's involved. So there's a lot of that been happening. And I think because when I was growing up, it was kind of understood. You want something, you're gonna have to work for it. Oh, you think someone just give it to you? Like I was so a lot of the entertainment was books. Like TV was pretty sad and just kind of lame, really. And it was most of the time was just bad. It was bad. So your entertainment was in books. If you want to get a book, there was no audio books. You got to get in there and freaking go down each word yourself and figure out how to get this thing faster. How can we read this thing faster, make it more pleasant? And they don't teach you that in school, by the way.
Word right now, and I don't mean it to insult anybody. And I'm pretty lazy myself in many ways, so I can understand that. The laziest thing to do would just be to watch something in your language, and then that's how a lot of people learn. Like the laziest thing to do sometimes is not the most effective. I kind of just outlined one approach that will not cost you much time, but you might not want to do that either because you're a little bit lazy. Like you don't want to have to type out the code yourself. You want somebody else to have it. You want to be able to copy and paste it, but you're not going to learn as much doing it that way. I promise.
Well, that's what they were trying to. That's the thing. That's really the secret. Is learning is painful. I know. It's painful. They get to be painful. Yes, it requires you to concentrate on something, which is not a natural tendency as human beings. We don't like doing that. And then we have to sit there and concentrate, and you have to like figure it out how someone else has put it together. So then you can put it in your own words, and putting that thing together is painful. Oh, there's just no way around it. That's the entrance fee, is the pain of going through this. If you don't want to pay the price, get out of the kitchen.
You. And watching my videos is definitely a decent way to learn like the thought process, especially if you're stuck. It's
Yeah,
a
it's
really good way to
helpful,
save
super
time. You
helpful,
don't have
but it's not
unlimited
going to do it for you. That's not the end. Then you have to go do it, reproduce it. Jesus.
time, but probably you'll learn better if you actually think of things on your own. If you like do some pen and paper stuff
that's
before
the
you
only
watch my video, or
way.
maybe
It's
then you
not
don't even need to
better.
watch.
It's the only way. That's the only way you're really going to do it. I mean, you can regurgitate it and, you know, copy paste whatever, but to really understand it, yeah, you're going to have to go through that freaking dick process, a painful process where some people have it easy, but other people don't. And sometimes those people you don't realize why they have it easy is because they've been trying this stuff for a long time. You take that thing and try and do something else, they're completely useless. Take a guy that's been like, oh, I've got to do all the math puzzles, I'll put him on a horse. He's gonna be like, oh, I can't figure this out. It's like, no, it's just, you're in the learning process now.
Watch the video. But humans tend to do like the laziest thing. It's natural. It's nature. It's hard to fight against that emotion.
Now, we optimize for that. And our culture also has said, oh, 3 easy steps, quick and easy. Yeah, it's our culture.
Now, the third factor is the one that I'm going to be focusing on the most, because I think that in reality, it's not just one reason why this person or someone would suggest something like this. It's not just one reason. There are many reasons. And I think this is one that's often not discussed. It's called fear or anxiety or any of the other emotions.
You don't know how long it's going to take. That's also the painful part. You don't know how long you're going to have to be sitting there trying to figure this thing out and being confused the entire time until you're not. Yeah, it's scary. You don't know when it'll be end. You don't know if it will end. You might give up before the end. And that's scary. Yeah, it's fearful.
People don't really talk about that much, but it's very relevant, because let me tell you the thought process of probably somebody who's very, very much a beginner. Like if you have 10 years of experience, you probably don't feel this way, but I know that there are plenty of people.
We don't feel this way anymore, except we do. There's all kinds of stuff that comes up that's like new, you have to learn to figure out. Is this relevant? Is this not? A lot of it's that. Is this bullshit? Is it not bullshit? Lately, especially. How much of this stuff is bullshit? How much of it's real? How much of it's useful? How much of it's pure hype? How much of it's a stock buyback program?
People out there who call themselves, like, for example, like I'm a developer, I'm a JavaScript developer. I'm not a software engineer, I'm a JavaScript developer. I have 10 years of experience in JavaScript. But when I see a different language that I'm not comfortable with, I panic. Like, because I've been staying at my cushy, comfortable job where I haven't really had to learn that many new things. I just stay where I'm comfortable. I'm scared to go out and like have to do something that I've never done before. Like I panic. And so
welcome to the club, everybody. Everybody's like that. Yeah, everyone's like that. Especially people that are super into it. They're even more like that. Yeah, inside. They might put up a front like, oh yeah, we got it all figured out. But no, when something new comes up that you haven't heard from before, and it might wipe out the thing you've been spending 10 years learning about. Whoa, yeah, baby. I've been through this a few times, man. I've been through this thing where you have to relearn everything the skill set you had. Like Mac OS 9, I mastered that system. I sold a lot of software, created a lot of apps, a lot of kinds of stuff. Very well. Then when OS 10 came along, OS 9 was over, and now I had to retool, and all that stuff was gone. Now all the experience of how to make stuff was still there, but a whole new operating system, a whole new API, a whole new thing. Oh man, yeah, it's super scary. But welcome to the club. You want to do engineering? You want to do software development? This is how it's gonna be the whole time.
The mindset of somebody like that, when they see code in a language that they never learned, they start to panic. I mean, they might not get like a full-blown plan.
Like Erlang, I haven't looked at Erlang yet. I'm like, what the hell's going on with this thing? There's one language I haven't looked at yet. I've looked at everything else except Erlang. We were like, Erlang, you'll make it go nuts, or Haskell. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna avoid that unless I need to use it.
Panic attack or something, but they start to get a little bit of anxiety. Like, well, I'm uncomfortable right now. I'm reading a language I don't know. And that fear is paralyzing. It's the worst feedback loop in existence.
Well, it's because you're like, oh my God, how much am I going to have to go? How much of my time is going to be now allocated to trying to understand this thing and all its quirks and weird things and little gotchas? That's the thing I love about Kotlin. They've really thought a lot of it through. They've cleared a lot of that stuff out, and they say no a lot to like design stuff, and it's like they've been really cleanly produced language. I'm just enjoying it now. I know it won't last. At some point it's gonna be destroyed by somebody, some new effort, whatever. But right now it's really clean. You have multiple platforms. You do your core application and your user interface in one code base, one language. Is super nice. But I know that's not gonna last forever, right? But right now it's a great example of this.
And if you're thinking that this only is relevant to LeetCode, I promise you, I think I'll be able to convince you by the end of this video that it's not only related to LeetCode. It's not only related to seeing a programming language that you're unfamiliar with. It's related to so many things. And I know this from my
it's just technology. If you're going to be in technology, The whole thing is about taking other people's jobs. I know that's really hard to hear if you haven't heard that the first time. It's the first time in your precious little years. Like, yeah, what's what we're trying to do? We're trying to actually take somebody else's work away from them and get in the middle there. That's the whole point. All technology. That's what we're doing. So let's not get it twisted. I want to make a space trip. No, it's like no, we're just taking somebody else's lunch. That's already doing it that way. Now, every once in a while, we'll have this thing where there's a new opportunity, but that's very rare. So technology is like somebody else is doing it some way, and we're gonna come in and do it a better way in some way, shape, or form. That's it.
personal experience. Like I think if
It's scary because you might be worked 10 years on that thing. Somebody goes in with a new technology, some new technique, and they come in and just take your stuff away from you, and you're done. It's it. You're out of business.
there's one emotion that's dominated the vast majority of my life, it
That's
probably
scary.
is anxiety. And I'm probably not the only one. Like I could tell you guys my
Yeah.
personal life story and all that stuff, but I don't really think I need to
We're
because
all crazy. This society and this culture is crazy. And if you go into technology, oh yeah, you're gonna get the full front.
I think you guys probably have very similar experiences that I do. Now, before I focus on the more broader point, let me kind of stick to this like leak code example for a second. Is it actually true that we should be afraid as we think we are? Like, let me show you a very quick
No.
example. So I'm gonna go to
Well, I
leak
mean,
code.
depends on who's afraid. I'm afraid of what? If you think you just like thought your elite coding thing was gonna be the way he saved you, you're gonna regurgitate these algorithms on demand. Well, yeah, you're kind of toast. But if you're like doing software development, trying to provide solutions, and for some customer, then you have some problem that you've addressed and have a solution for them. Then yeah, your business, you're gonna be like, that's what we do as humans. We're trying to do that the whole time.
I'm going to go to a problem that I've never seen before. A reasonably difficult problem, let's say separate squares. Even though it's a medium, it has a relatively low acceptance rate, so it must have been somewhat difficult for people. I'm going to look at somebody's solution code in a language that I'm not familiar with. Hopefully I can find one. Okay, so I found this post, and I'm going to try not to like look at anything. Okay, so this is the Python code. I'm trying not to look at it. I'm going to go to Kotlin. Definitely a language I've never used personally before, so that's why I'm picking it. I'm trying to pick the best language among these. Maybe I'll look at some of the others, but honestly I know most of these other than Rust and Go. But now I'm looking at this code. I don't know Kotlin. I never learned Kotlin, but I know programming. I like to think that I'm decently good at logic and decently good at learning. So now I'm looking at this code. I'm trying to figure out what it's doing, and it's pretty obvious. Look, I don't know what this syntax is. I've never seen this syntax before, but if I had to guess, looks like an array of integers, or specifically it looks like an array of integer arrays. And confirming on the right side in Python, it's a list of lists. So, okay, so that's confirmation. I guess I wasn't 100% sure of that. So maybe that's something I could quickly Google. But again, like that's a 2-second question for me to answer just via Google or GPT. Looks like it's returning a double. Looks like you initialized a couple variables. This is a decimal. This is an integer. It looks like there's a nested function in here. Looks like there's some logic going on. I mean, all of this is pretty readable to me. So maybe I picked an easy language. Go is pretty easy. It's true. Let's go. Or Kotlin is pretty easy. Let's look at Go. Go is a little bit different. But again, looking at this, I pretty much know what this is. 2-dimensional array of integers. Float 64. Couple of variables initialized. Like all of this code looks readable to me. I can read and understand every single line pretty much. Like I don't see anything that I wouldn't understand. Maybe there would be some minor syntax things that I would have to Google or something like that. But that's it. Like reading code in a language you've never seen before, it's just a skill you develop. Like when you have a panic attack before you do it, then you trick yourself.
Well, it's because you're early on, you get panicky because you don't know all the differences. You don't know what changes. You know what each keyword is. You don't know the syntax. You don't know the similarities of things. You know what the contrast. What's all going to be the same. What's going to be different.
Yourself
out of the libraries are all they're all different. So you're like, what the hell is it calling? How's this work? And all the little gotchas and little special cases, and there's all that crap. It's like, how much am I going to have to learn to know this? I just want to look at the functions. Like, well, most of the time it's like this, but if you get deep into it, then you're gonna have to learn all that stuff. That's why people panic. It's like, oh, it's like, yeah. Welcome to the club.
Trying. And when you actually try, when you're not scared to fail, when you're not scared to look at a piece of code and think, what if I don't understand it? Oh my God, then I'm just going to feel so bad about myself. It's going to ruin my day. It's going to lower my self-esteem. And that's not an easy thing to fix.
That's true. Oh, you're not going to be the wizard you thought you were. Over my self-esteem. No. The whole point is like, we're trying to create a solution, which is going to be, we're going to dick with a lot of stuff. And a lot of it's not going to work. Most of the program may not work until actually makes it work, right? So this is the other thing too. It's like, yeah, you're a dumbass until you're a genius. You're a fuck up, can't get the thing running until you got it running, and then you're a genius again. Okay, yeah.
The psychology of it, that's the hardest part. But like you have to recognize that reality is often not like what you kind of make it out to believe in your head. You get too much in your head about it. Now,
because we want to make this image. I'm gonna be the best programmer on the planet. Everybody's gonna look at me. They're gonna bow in my presence. It's like, no, dude, stop. Get over yourself.
I'll quickly go to Rust, and
all we're trying to do is provide a solution to a customer in a cost-effective way that we don't have to go work for somebody else, and we can have maintain our control of our destiny, and also solve somebody else's problem for profitably. That's it. Or when you think you're doing something else, then you're off. You're in the weeds. I'm going to be a superstar, well-known developer, just famous. Like, no, you'll be famous to your customers who they're paying you to fix their problem that they are interested in, that you found a solution for, that you can provide for them, whether it's faster, cheaper, more fun, in a different culture, different context, different language, different purpose.
Looking at this, there might be some syntax that I don't quite understand, even though like we pretty much know what's going on here, and we got the helper function. Okay, so this syntax is a little bit funky, but it looks like
Yeah.
it's an inline function, which is then being assigned to this, and so I'm mostly able to understand it. And depending on your amount of experience, maybe you're really early in your career, you might not. But again,
Right.
I'm just trying to make like a more general point. And now let
And
me
the only way you get through this is by going through it and realizing there's going to be mostly similarities. There's going to be some little weird syntax sketches that you're going to have to like try and remember and re-remember every time you go back and look at it. But, with the translator tools and stuff, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. So, but the first couple times, yeah, it might be a little weird. It's gonna be like, okay, I have to redo this whole thing, and a lot of it will be like, okay, what is this doing? Why? And then you're gonna be on that journey, man. And but if like eventually you come to the edges of like, okay, this is kind of the things people want to do with this stuff, and most of it's in this little 20% area, and there's this 80% outside that's there, but you don't really have to know all the details. Or every once in a while, you can look them up as you go, and then it becomes less panicky.
kind of focus away from LeetCode specifically and talk about this more broadly. So now I want to show you just a short sports clip, actually. Just to give some context, so this is LeBron James, famous athlete, NBA player, his son, Bronny James, on the same team. And this is just moments before his son was about to enter his first NBA game, playing basketball as a professional athlete. And listen carefully to what LeBron said to his son. And LeBron, he's not a psychologist. He's just a professional athlete, right? So how does he arrive at the same conclusion that I did?
It's an intensity, right? Just play carefree, though. Worry about mistakes, go out and play hard.
Now, LeBron told his son not to worry about making mistakes. Why would he do that? Because when you worry about mistakes, then you become afraid to act. And that can be a good thing, right? Like if you touch the stove, you're going to burn your hand. You're going to be afraid of doing that then. And it's
Right.
good to have some level of anxiety. Even as a professional athlete, you should be afraid to some extent of making mistakes. But when you're a beginner, when you're starting out, there's no point in worrying too much about mistakes. You need to have some level of confidence. It's required.
Yeah, I mean, okay, that's the other thing too. Yeah, he's getting here. Like all the professionals and people you've seen or look up to, they have like mostly failures of all the things they've done. Like if you saw the amount of like programs and how much stuff they had to write to get to the level they're at, you'd be like, okay, that's a lot. But you never see that. An overnight success takes about 20 years, by the way. So let's keep going.
Not just for professional athletes, but for professionals in any discipline, whether it's like medicine, software engineering, or other things. Like you can't be paralyzed with fear of like, oh, what if my code has a bug? Well, it's gonna have a bug no matter what. You're gonna make mistakes.
Every line's a liability. Every line's a bug.
Well, what if I cause issues in production? There's a real risk.
Then you're gonna fix them. Maybe you should try to figure out a way we can prevent that. Do tests, whatever. But there might be something that happens in production. Yeah. Then you have to deal with it. This is the sucky part of the job. It's like, oh, you like the salary and the status supposedly, and working downtown with all the action is like. But then there's this, oh, you might get a bug in production. Yeah, you might.
That does happen. Okay, you can do everything correct. You can have all the tests in place and stuff. Production issues still happen. It's possible you might be responsible one day for a production issue. That's something
you probably will. If you're doing adventure-driven development, you're definitely going to be a part of it. Yeah.
Got to accept. Otherwise, you're just going to be paralyzed. And very quickly, let me just ask you a quick question. And it's not related to sports. Maybe most of you are more familiar with like video games, for example. If I had two scenarios, one, I have a kid and I buy this kid a video game and I buy the other kid a video game as well. And maybe the first kid, they start reading the manual before they start playing the game because they want to make sure that they know everything before they get started and so that they don't make any sort of mistakes. Maybe they start doing a bunch of research online about the game and all sorts of things. And they wait days before they actually start to play that video game. And you have the other kid, for example, who just plays the game. They're dumb. Like they don't even know how to read. They just start mashing buttons and then they just keep going. They just play. They make a lot of mistakes. Maybe it's like a video game where you progress and you die and you have to restart all over and they just keep dying, but eventually they're progressing. Which one of these kids do you think is going to be better at the game? Who do you think is going to beat the game first? I guarantee you, this person will win every single time because I've played video games my whole life. I never read a single manual. That's not how you play video games. Nowadays, online games are so damn complicated. There's so many things going on, like some of these strategy games. How the hell do you learn that? You're not going to learn that by reading books and like stuff like that. You just learn by doing. The brain is very powerful. It builds intuition automatically.
True. Yeah, it is a muscle. You have to keep going and trying and keep working on it and keep building stuff and still have that fire inside you of like building stuff. Because some people like lifestyle is just like as a job or I mean I guess some people like that kind of stuff, but it's soul crushing to have that. That's why if you're vibing with this channel this far and this long, that adventure-driven development, if you haven't checked out that series yet in that document, you definitely look at it because that's what it's about.
Just as you do things, as you collect data points for your brain and feed them in, your brain does magical things inside of there. And that's one of the things I'm going to talk about probably in like the follow-up video. But I want to quickly address that in some ways, this kind of seems like contradictory advice, doesn't it? Like in terms of reading the manual, because there's some parallels to that with like reading documentation, right? Everybody says, just read the documentation.
Well, sometimes the documentation is terrible and sometimes it's horrible. And so just reading the documentation often, a lot of times it's bad. So it's like, you can try. Some documentation is excellent. Like the C manual with Kernahan and Ritchie, what they did with that manual is a very beautiful set of just a thin little guide. It's just so well done. Another one is called Digital Darkroom. There's all these technical manuals which have been just honed and like really precise. But let's all be honest. Most of the like Gradle, I'm talking about you. Most of the documentation on Android, terrible, just pointless. Like no examples. Like what are you doing? Like this, like yeah.
Save you so much time. And there is some truth to that. That's why this is difficult. And that's why like sometimes there is contradictory advice. And you yourself, you have to know when to apply it and know like what to do in the correct.
That only comes through dicking with stuff and being on the pit and like I'm looking through the manual and going, what the hell is all this stuff? And going back and have to figure out other stuff and backtracking and like, how long is this going to take? Yeah. How long is it going to take? It's going to take all the time. All the time.
Situation and stuff like that. Again, one of the things I'm probably going to try to address in the follow-up video. I don't want to like ramble on too much right now. Now, one thing, like even if you agree with everything I've said up until this point, everything I've said sounds simple, and it is simple, but simple does not equal easy. No. And that's again like one of the hard things. That's one of the nuanced things. This stuff is simple, but it's really hard to put into practice. Right. I could spend like hours and hours talking about that and talk about like how I've personally been able to do that, and I'll tell you, it was not a quick process.
You gotta really want it. You gotta really want to be able to make stuff for people, and you have to see that you get jazzed up with that. If you don't get that, it's just gonna be a job, and you're gonna get sick of it, and you're gonna burn out, and it's gonna be like you look back at your life, and all you did was punch tickets. It's like, yeah, that's all you did is punch tickets. You missed out on the fun part of computer programming. See, before the ticket punching, I got involved with computers way before there was ticket punching. So I had this other, I was programming since I was a little kid, so I had this other way of seeing things, and I realized that I'm very rare how I look at the view of the world. That's why I came up with the adventure-driven development. So it's like a contrast. Like, this is how I see it, and I realized that most people are not seeing it that way. So let's keep going.
I made this video like a year and a half ago now about like quitting Amazon. That was like a part of my story. This video, it was only 10 minutes long. It didn't cover everything. And by the way, I'm not the only one who like thinks that like most things in life are simple. I think like this.
Well, okay, but also there's also luck. And providing solutions to your customers, their problems aren't always simple, and the solutions aren't always simple. So but the attitude is simple of like wanting to serve and you're sacrificing yourself not just for the check, but for this other thing of like solving somebody's problem and being in control of your destiny. Holy shit.
I saw the other day kind of backs that point up where Paul Graham says the most valuable insights tend to be the most general. So a lot of people will almost have had them. When you write about them, some readers will say you put my thoughts into words, and others will dismiss your observations as obvious. And both are describing the same experience. He talks a little bit more about this. And I've had the same experience with the most valuable books that I've ever read in my life and the things that I've learned. It was so surprising to me how they were so simple, but like
they resonate with stuff that you've already discovered. So it was like a confirmation bias, and they already just. Some of these things are like Schelling points, like universal truths, of like ways of approaching things that there's like a Schelling point of a technique that works to get people through. And if you don't have this technique, you're just going to wash out. Right. And then like one of the things that you bring it up is like enjoying the process of providing a solution to your customer. Like just enjoy, like the fact that you're enjoying that is like, okay, that's cool. If you don't, it's like, well, you're going to have a real hard time dealing with all the bullshit that comes along with this damn job.
Actually, putting them into practice takes time. And that's why I think like having some kind of book or some kind of thing or resource which takes ideas that are seemingly simple and then combines them into one place where it's very explicit about every single thing.
It's good to have reminders and confirmations that you're kind of on the way. But going in ahead of time and like trying to get the nuggets of information from this general topics, these general ideas is going to be very difficult. Unless you're engaging in this process of going, how much do I have to dick with to get my stuff fixed? How much do I have to dick with to understand these damn things? It's like you have to have the attitudes like you're you're digging out of prison. You don't know how long this is going to take for you to dig to get to the outside. You have no idea. You just keep digging, and you have to enjoy the process and really imagine what's going to happen, how the solution is going to be providing value for people.
You don't have to read between the lines about anything. It's very explicit about like how the brain works and how life works and like sort of those things.
Retrospect, but in the like first time through, you kind of have to figure this stuff out, and some people just wash out before they figure it out, or they expect it to be like the advertising hype, like, oh, it's just 5 easy steps or one weird trick, or you just go to this boot camp for 3 seconds and you'll have $100,000. It's like, no, man. So there's a lot of people like that. They're like, well, I was promised $100,000 for 3 seconds in a boot camp.
For example, like the book How to Win Friends and Influence People. Everybody says that book is like common sense, but common sense isn't so common. That's the thing about it.
Correct.
And when you really, really get really, really good at those fundamentals, and I'm not talking about fundamental data structures and algorithms, I'm talking about fundamental like psychology principles. That's like the major thing that's been able to improve my life, to be honest. And like I said, it was not a quick journey. Like if you agree with what I've said, and
you gotta be kind of you got a little bit of bludgeon for punishment. You kind of have to be like, I'm gonna do this because this is what I want to do. And be a dick, kind of be a dick about it too. It's like, I'm gonna put myself through a little bit of pain, and like, I want to know how this shit fucking works, and I'm not gonna quit until I know. It's got to be that level of thing, and just not. Some people just don't have that. They want to clock in, do their job, clock out, go home, watch Netflix, eat, go to bed, repeat, and that is totally cool with them.
You're like starting to feel like inspired in some sense. I do want to give a little bit of caution. Not everyone has the same starting point. Depending on where you're at and the life that you've lived, it might take you a lot of...
Some people got to dick with it more and some people got to dick with it less, but they're all going to have to dick with it. So let's put that, oh, somebody else had it easier than me. Oh, really? Welcome to the fucking earth, man. Get over that shit. Like, where does that come from? That's some Gen Z crap. Like, dude, yes, you all had different starting points. Oh, yeah, it's not how far you went, it's where you came from. All right? Let's keep going.
Time to get over some of these things that maybe you've experienced in the past or some bad habits that you've like built up. And in my experience, like in some ways, you don't 100% get over certain things, and that's okay. You don't have to. It's good to have emotions.
It's more like you just accept how things are. It's like, oh, I'm going to get over it. It's never going to affect me. It's like, no. He's like, oh, that's how it is. When I go out to walk, if I don't want to have my feet to be bloody, or bruised up or glass in it, I got to wear shoes. And that means I got to wear shoes. I got to wear socks. It means every time I go outside, I got to put my socks on. I got to put my shoes on. I got to tie my shoes. I might get Velcro, but like, you still got to do that. Otherwise, you're going to have places like, I just want to walk with my shoes off. It's like, well, not in the city. Not if you want to walk in the city. So that's the kind of like, you're accepting that. It's like, okay, how about you just whistle while you put your shoes on? Like, put the socks on, you whistle a little song. Try to make it a little easier. Bring some blood, bring some gravity. It's like, not like, you goddamn socks, goddamn shoes, goddamn city, can't walk with my shoes off. It's like, people have that attitude. Like, look at him. He doesn't have to wear shoes. He's a dog. It's like, well, yeah, but his feet are just like, come on, let's keep going.
It's good to have fear once in a while, as long as like those emotions are pointed in the right direction. Like for example, when I make these videos, I get some anxiety. I get some fear about it. And
me too.
For me, my biggest fear isn't that someone is going to be like mean to me in the comments or something.
They always, that's the price. That's the price you pay for being on the internet. Is someone might be mean comments. So you just hide them and like, move on. Or just realize that's the price, and most people are just, let's be honest, most people are pretty stupid.
Something like that. And I sincerely mean that. Like, it really doesn't hurt my feelings.
You gotta look at the source where this is coming from. Some random user number 5XY saying, you were mean in that video. You should stop it so much. You shouldn't talk over people. It's like, no, I leave the link to the original video. Go watch the video. You go to my channel because you want to hear this ridiculous commentary.
Sometimes I even find them kind of funny, but my biggest...
I laugh at him before I hide him from the channel.
fear is that once in a while, I'll make a mistake in my videos. I'll say something that even I don't...
I'm doing them a favor. They don't like, they get upset. They're on my channel. They get upset. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to make them happy. Like, you know, you don't get the comment. You can still watch my stuff, but your comments will no longer register.
don't fully agree with, and I'll look back on that and I'll regret it. And that's a legitimate fear, because who can be correct and right 100% of the time? It's impossible.
Nobody.
If as I make videos,
it's impossible to even think that way. To even like conceptualize like somebody out there's right. It's like, no, it's all opinion. It's all technique. It's all what you do with it and how you are in the world and how the world reacts to you because of how you are in the world.
If I choose to make videos, there's a 100% chance I'm going to make mistakes as well.
Absolutely.
But I just have to acknowledge
I did at least 10 in this video.
Maybe once in a while, I'll also say something correct though. Maybe once in a while, I'll have a positive impact on somebody's life and say
Yeah,
something
that's what I'm going for. That's the only reason that keeps me going. Is somebody might get a clue about how to approach these things from my life advice, which I enjoy sharing with you guys. But like, not everyone's gonna get it. Not everyone's gonna like it. That's how it is. That's life. Come on now.
powerful. So like there's two sides to that coin. And like if you want to improve, if you want to grow, you have to be willing to make mistakes. And that was the biggest problem I had my whole life. And now that I've kind of gotten over a lot of that, all I can tell you is, man, my life improved in every single way you can imagine, almost every single way. Like I'm not so afraid of making mistakes anymore. I'm
No,
not
you have to. It's required. Software development is all about the mistakes. It's like it's the whole thing's wrong until it's right. It's constantly wrong the whole time, from the time you start the project until you get that first customer that goes, I like what you got. It's wrong until then. Okay, so what?
so afraid of looking dumb, even publicly. Like,
Looking dumb. Really? You care what other people on the internet think you're dumb? Are you serious? Okay, let's keep going.
sometimes I'm gonna look dumb in front of thousands and thousands of people.
Yeah, that's normal. It's everyone's dumb inside. And if anyone that thinks that, you look at them and look, oh wow, he's super smart. There's something going on there. If you look at someone's like, oh wow, he's always smart. It's like, no, that's some kind of weird projection shit. You wish you could be all things to all people at all times. Like, no, man, stop.
Online, and I'm public right now. I'm showing my face, and I can live with that. Sometimes
Yeah, me
I'm gonna
too.
talk to people, and they're not gonna like me. Like
Oh,
I'm
most people don't. Most people like me don't like me, but most people don't like most people. Let's be real honest.
be nice to somebody, and for whatever reason, they're
So
just not.
why would there even be a possible problem? Most people don't like most people. So why would you expect people to like you when most people don't like most people? Why is this even an issue?
Not gonna like me. I might ask out a girl, and she might say no.
Yeah, they all say that. Most of them are going to say no. Pretty much all of them are going to say no until you get to the one that says yes. What does that mean? Come on.
So what? Like you just got to move on.
Exactly. Yeah, and all shots not taken are missed. And then if you don't take any shots, you're never gonna. It's not gonna happen. That's just how life is. And it's like a self-selecting thing. It's like if you really want it, you're not gonna take no for an answer. But if you're like, oh, somebody might not like it, I understand. It's like when you're gonna have that will not be the only excuse. Once you start with the excuse thing, okay, the man who makes excuses will make excuses for anything and will never move, right? And the guy's like, I don't care about excuses. I'm just going to try. Then it'll happen for him. It's like, well, it's not fair. The other guy was right, though. He was right. Then if you don't do anything, you won't get anything. He's right. It's like, yeah, that's right. You don't do anything, you don't get anything. All right. All right. Enough ranting. Give me a like and subscribe, and we'll continue this journey of me complaining about things on the internet.